time, so I didn't worry.
Well, yeah, they said the best time I see it is between 2 and 4 a.m. I thought, oh, well, so much for that.
I used to go out and watch those, not now.
Well, I think it'd be pretty cool, but I'm not getting up at 2 o'clock.
I know, right? Seen one meteor shower. All right, we are, live.
Okay, 10 o'clock. Do you want to walk through the latest to start, and then we'll go through and
Yep.
give our recommendations?
Did you guys already do your Pledge of Allegiance and stuff?
This is a work session, not a meeting.
Oh, so you're not doing that?
No.
Okay, well, good. Give me a second to plug in get all my documents sorted here in case you ask for specific stuff. Okay. Gary missed out last time, so he's the one that shows up today, huh?
I'm here.
Tammy, you should just sit at the table instead of having to stand there that
I feel better when I stand,
long.
actually. Yeah,
Like
as long as I have decent shoes on. But thank you.
This reminds me of yesterday with the justice planners and all the numbers that he.
I know.
And that
I
guy's
haven't
not
gotten,
gonna-
I didn't get an email with that yet. Have you guys?
Huh?
Okay.
That guy could talk. The second one.
Well, I thought he did a good job.
He did a good
knew
job,
his
but I mean,
stuff,
that guy
that's for
could,
sure.
he knew what he was
I
talking about.
I didn't know where he was headed with the hurricane thing.
I know.
Well, I think he was just showing
Just-
how just something can just throw a
Blow
whole
up,
wrench in
yeah,
everything. That was
yeah.
just an example, but there.
But yeah, when he first
When he
started, I
first
thought,
started, what the hell?
Okay.
Hurricane?
Yeah. We don't have hurricanes here.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
ugh.
Good morning.
I don't know.
Okay, ready?
Mhm.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tammy Robinson, Finance Director. We're here with the 4th budget work session. And I have the developmental worksheet in front of you so that you can see the impact of the changes that were made after our last work session. So looking at this, $67,760 was decreased between the clerk and the election budgets. I did highlight the changes that we've made before and with this so that you could see the line items that were impacted.
That must be what I was printing
Oh.
yesterday. I was like, waiting for
We were
it.
just talking about fingers.
It
was
just
the
woke
best.
Yeah. It is, it's printing now. It's weird.
So if you have your last sheet and you look at the numbers from the last time compared to this time, you'll see those differences in the clerk and the election line items. And that was due to an eliminated position within their office. And then we also decreased the district court by $3,000. Again, it's highlighted up there. We decreased $100,000 from the general services, separation of service line item. And there was a decrease to the health department transfer due to the adjustments we made within their budget, decreasing an employee and what you saw yesterday on one of their IT contracts with the decrease, that was the effect that it had. Then, on the second page, if you look at the budgeted revenue on the left side, you can see that we increased the district court cash by 20,000. It had previously been the 60,000, the same as it was in 2025. We had taken out that 27,000 for the emergency management EPMG grant because we're not 100% positive with that being federal funds that will come in. And then one other thing, in working with Charles on his budget, the sanitation salary reimbursement that goes from the health department to the GIS department, we hadn't factored that in, so we went ahead and pulled that in as well, just to make sure that we're covering all of that information, both on the health department side and then the revenue that comes back on our side. There haven't been any changes anywhere else on the budgeted revenue. And so when you look at this, you can see the impact is that our total expenditures have decreased to the 32,144.35. There's no change in the budget value of a mill. The resources increased a little bit from those two revenue line items. So the ad valorem tax required at this point in time is 17,837,505. That equates to 56.561 mils. And that's a difference from last year's July values of 1.904 as an increase. And when you look at the revenue neutral mill rate, we are over the revenue neutral mill rate by the 4.059 mils. And that equates to $1,209,612. If you look at the tax increase impact as an average, with a house being $200,000 appraised value, 23,000 assessed, then that would be a 93.36 cents tax increase to the taxpayer. With those adjustments, originally, just to give you some information on the payroll side, when we started all of this, when everybody had presented the first time around, we had an increase to our payroll, which included the 27th pay period, the COLA and the step of approximately 981,000. And the sheriff came back and he decreased a position, so that took us to 891,000. And with the adjustments we've made, now it's brought us down to 683,781 as a total increase. And from last year's budget, that's a 4.71% increase overall. So because of the adjustments we've made and because people change benefits, we're now just 0.71% higher than we would expect based on a 3% step and a 1% COLA. So that's what the adjustments have done to the payroll side. Are there any questions on any of that?
No.
We've not made any adjustments to the fire budget. We had requested the fire chief to come over and have some discussion potentially on his changes that would put him over that revenue neutral rate as well. I can pull that up on the screen if you're ready to do that, or if there's something you want to talk about on this one. Right now, just as a reminder, and going back to page 1, we had taken out the COLA, and that COLA number decreased just a little bit because of the changes we made as well. So it's a little less than it was before. So it was like 152 and now it's 150. Public Works had made a decrease of $7,710. And then of course you guys had made adjustments to the appropriations. And in doing those appropriations, it decreased what we had originally in the economic development transfer as well.
Do you guys wanna talk about the fire budget first since Gary's here?
Probably so.
And Gary, I apologize, I don't know, I didn't see the CIP, but, I understand you gave two, one for grants, one with grants and one without grants, and I know that the CIP should have been put in place a long time ago because you have a lot of old equipment. But I don't, I'm not comfortable with replacing those huge things. I mean, I think we need to work on a plan where we're actually putting money in where we're not paying for a whole pumper in 1 year. You know what I mean, as far as building up and funding a CIP program. I mean, there's two different things. You can make a CIP where this is what you want, then we have to fund it. So, and we've not been putting anything away, right, for extra, like when
We've got that, special
yeah,
where we throw money into, and then we usually buy the trucks out of there when that comes up so high. We've never budgeted for that.
yeah, I know
for
that.
that,
That's what our challenge is, I
Right,
guess, right
right,
now, is
right.
that. So, like, you know how we do our CIP in this county now where we're actually putting money in there and there's a
Right,
fund
right.
there that, and then we go through there and base it on,
Okay.
priority. So, I mean, cause the way this is now, we're gonna be raising it substantially in the next 5 years. You know, your fire budget.
Possible.
Yeah.
You guys, you also have to look that most of my trucks are more than 15, 20 years old.
Exactly, which is why I said we should have been
Uh-huh.
doing something like this years ago instead of having, 5, 6, things that are 25 years old. So yeah, it's gonna be a challenge. I don't, especially with us raising, the mill levy so much this year on the ad valorem side for general, and then now, the people out in the county are gonna be getting a double hit with having what you have
Well,
suggested this year.
and Tammy and I emailed back and forth,
Yeah,
which is gonna be on a $200,000 house. I've got your email, Tammy.
Yeah, it's $88.71.
Right, $88 for a $200,000 property.
so we're raising the fire district just as much as we're raising the house.
And where do you put the cost of people out? Your survey said fire protection's important.
Sure, no, I
People I've
agree.
talked to out in the county, and these trucks, we talked about it before, when these trucks go down, the last one was down for 2 months because we couldn't get parts for it. No, the part actually came from overseas, which cost us more money. We
So that's the-
don't have the luxury of trucks like certain places do that every 3 years get to replace a truck. When you've got 18 trucks, I gotta put my priorities someplace.
No,
I've
I
got,
agree, but I think we could have done a little bit, spread it out a little bit more than what you have. And I know that's gonna be a challenge because you have old equipment. But we
That's right.
can't just raise it, I don't feel, and even if we don't get that, raising the fire, $400,000, if we don't get, the replacement for the air packs, I mean, that's huge.
We're raising it 400,000?
Yeah, it says, 391,000, if we don't get the grant.
And part of that was, this last year, insurance had never come out of the fire budget for
Correct.
the
And that
stuff,
was, what was that, 18?
21,000.
So in the past, we've been paying for all that out of the general services and the fire stations, and his equipment should be paid.
So I don't know how you
for.
guys feel about it, but I'm thinking maybe, out of the two, if you don't get the air packs, or if you get the air packs with the grant, the two, one of the two of the items that you have there.
On your capital outlay here, in your budget. So this year, this 285,000 for emergency vehicles, what will that be going towards? So those first two items, if they receive that air pack, that replace the TK 100 and obtain the 2000 tanker pumper, that's the 285 that he increased
Yeah.
for just those two pieces.
Because you gotta remember that, I've talked to you guys about Station 4. We're on track to get that finished up. And that's where this tanker was gonna go. Last fire we had out on Interstate where we had the two vehicles hit that signboard. We ran our tanker from town, we ran Grandview Plaza's tanker, and all they did was shuttle water. 5 minutes from Grandview to the scene, dump their water, go back to Grandview. It was a 15 to 20-minute round trip. We were running out of water because we needed a third tanker. And I think that's important for these people out in the rural. They get a
I
structure
thought you were
fire.
talking about pumper.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a pumper tanker, but it carries 2,000 gallons of water. Hang on just a second.
So like what Commissioner Giordano is trying to say though is like, instead of trying to fund the full 285 this year, let's say we put 175,000 into your reserve account for this purpose, and then next year you could put another 175 and you'd be able to get your 26 and 27. So instead of trying to burden them all on 1 year for the 285, you could get all of this equipment and do 175 each
As
year.
long as nothing else breaks down, then I've got to replace too, these age of the truck.
Well, but that's where you're transferring money into that fund for those purposes.
Exactly, and that's what, when I asked probably 3 years ago about us doing a CIP for this, is exactly why we should have been doing it instead of having to bear the brunt, just like they were doing with the ambulances. I mean, they just want us to, raise the mill levy enough to cover one ambulance, but now we have where we're putting money away for that specific thing. So we're not. I understand you have old equipment, Gary, I do understand that, but, it's our responsibility to be,
And when a piece of equipment breaks down, one of these trucks breaks down, I don't have a truck to put out there, so the people out in that area without fire protection for a month, 2 months until that piece of equipment's fixed. If I lived out in that area, I would not like it that I didn't have fire protection.
And this is just Fire District 1.
This is just the Fire District 1. This has nothing to do with out of this or the Dwight deal. They're their own separate deal. I have no control of them.
But even if you had a new piece of equipment that broke down, we'd still have that same
or if it got,
issue because we don't
if it got
have any.
hit by another vehicle. I mean, that's happened. You've had a truck that's burned up in a fire. I mean, stuff happens. I understand. And we improvise, which is exactly what you do. And I think that's probably one of your biggest strengths is that you improvise with what you have. I don't feel comfortable. I do not feel comfortable raising it that much this year. So my suggestion is we pick one of those two and go. I think we've been very generous with the fire district. You've gotten everything that you've asked for in the last 5 years. I don't think we've turned you down for anything.
I think you have.
Of the two, which one would be preferred?
Yeah, that's what, I don't know. I'm not the fire chief.
Of the two.
I'm only one vote. I'm just trying to see if we can do things cheaper and spread it out so we're not.
Well, I worry about what he says if, something does happen and, that jeopardizes, being uncovered, or something, if, God forbid, if something happens in that area, but, it's impacting in those that, again, would be bearing that cost along with whatever that we come up with. But it would be those that, for $88.71, I would think those in the rural area would.
That's kind of like buying insurance.
Right, yeah, but I understand what you're saying too. It's just a hard thing to do, and
But then what if we don't get the grant? I think the air packs are more important because of the safety of our fire guys too. So what are we doing?
Yeah, right now we don't have the air packs in as part of the cost.
Right, because we're still waiting on that grant, which we're pretty sure we're gonna get from what we've been hearing, and that should be coming in the next.
Well, I would
Hopefully
say
not.
that's more important than a truck, is the air packs, because that's a safety issue for because you can always get another truck coming into the area. It might take a little bit longer, but air packs on.
But if you need to get somebody out of the house, is it more important to get that truck there to start spraying water? Because the air packs are on the truck. So
Yeah, I know, but if you don't.
I'd have to look and see, we've got air packs right now, they're still doing their job, they're just not up to the standards they should be. They're still usable. The air pack bottles are good for
You
15
say the
years,
same
some of
thing-
them still
You can say
have.
the same thing about that truck. It's doing its job, it's just not up to standard yet, so, I mean, it's a hard decision. I mean, I'm just trying to let you look at both sides, and
I have been looking at both sides on everything. And we're trying to keep all of our equipment up good and stuff. And we don't go out and buy Cadillacs and that kind of stuff. We usually buy used trucks and stuff, because I don't like spending money and having the truck sit down there all shiny and stuff. I want trucks that work. And I think we've done a good job, like us building that truck right now, that's gonna go into place. I think both of these are necessary to help protect the citizens of Geary County.
Well, I know what Trish is saying, and I know what you're saying, but living in the county, fire protection is huge. And
Well, that's one of the things too, with people in, with EMS services, that you've heard that about them worried about fire as well, or I did. So it is, yeah.
So that's hard instead of a pretty good one.
but if we approve this, what do we do going forward?
Just
No, I mean, if we go with what he's
I
requesting.
don't know, these trucks should have never gotten this old. I mean, this is stuff that we should have been doing, and so, yeah, we have a challenge.
But have you been replacing it? It seems like that, as I recall, it seems like, I think you do a pretty good job of taking one out and putting one in. But there are a lot of old ones, but they obviously must be doing their job, that this has come to.
They are, and then when they're past their usefulness, like the one we replace, the one that we're building right now, we replace a 1980-81 F700. That's
What's
40.
that, do you know the pumper that you have now out there, what's the, maintenance spend, the pumper you wanna replace? I mean, how much have you been
We've got
spending
all
on
the
it?
records over there. We've got a separate file on each one.
Yeah.
Um,
I know you don't know it off the top of your head with so many, but.
It's had, and that's a stick shift. You can't find firemen to drive stick shifts,
That
and
is
nobody
true.
knows how to drive them. So if they don't know how to drive stick shift, that truck's gonna sit there, for one thing. I can't remember what all
I know, I
we
don't
had done
expect
on
it,
that,
because I know you've had a bunch of stuff, and I should have asked earlier, but.
When I was looking at this, it looks like you do a good job when you look at the condition of the trucks. I mean, even if they are a little bit older truck, the wear and tear is gonna come from being out at the fire, not necessarily mileage wise, is that
Right,
right? So, I mean, you're gauging what you have on the condition of these vehicles off of that, and they say they're all good, so on the other side of it, why replace something if it's still in good working condition, is why, even if it may be a 2005 or whatever, some of them are getting pretty old, but I mean,
Yeah, they
are they still able to?
the military trucks, I'm not too worried about right now. I think we had that planned in 2028, to start replacing those military units if we can find some, because we're not getting any military trucks in forestry anymore. So, but These other trucks, you don't really look at the mileage. You look at, because when they get on scene, they might be sitting there pumping water for 2-3 hours. So you're not getting mileage, you're getting engine usage, you're getting wear and tear on the truck itself. So mileage,
That's why I say, I guess, when you did your grade card here on these trucks, the one that you've only got poor and fair on 2 of them, so I'm
Right.
assuming that, well, 3 of them.
and 110 is the one that's getting replaced this year with the truck that's being built. So that one will go by the wayside. So really the only one I've got to replace is that brushed 100, which was bought in 1992 by Bill Deppish. We got 2 of those, and we got the station that's now the recycling center. Was on a community block grant.
I know you do your due diligence and probably more so than most in researching all of this stuff. And I've always appreciated that about you, Gary, about going after these grants and stuff. I know you do a good job about going after that stuff. But I understand what Trish is saying, but I hate to not have what you need and not being, in case something did happen and not having the ability to service someone out in the rural area, so.
Well, if you put 175,000 in this year and 175,000 in next year, he could get all 4 of those pieces of equipment. So it would minimize the impact more so on the taxpayer to put just a set amount in. So maybe that's something we want to look at, is that he puts 175 in every year for equipment. And then as he goes, figure out his timing of replacement.
Well, yeah,
That way it
and that's where I'm
minimizes the
coming from
impact.
when I'm saying building a CIP
I
fund.
wouldn't have a problem with that either, as long, with Gary, it's probably something we probably need to maybe put on, and discuss it a little bit, but on the other hand, I hate to be in this same predicament next year and then put off getting something done, so,
I think Tammy made a good suggestion. If you did 175 this year and 175 next year, then they can get all 4. I mean, and I think that's, where you're cutting that, what we're doing this year.
will it work? Will your vehicle get you through another season?
Possibly.
Well, and the thing is like, you could get, you could even get one of those in 2026.
Yeah.
And then even you could have the other one ready to go immediately in January of
Time is
27.
this year, I don't see where it's gonna get any better next year, so, we're gonna have.
You might not
next
have
year,
the full
you know.
175, so then, it wouldn't necessarily be the, and so then you would have potentially,
Yeah,
you'd
and
be
I
able to
don't-
get that and just keep putting that in.
Just
every
thinking
year,
about
'cause
that,
if you're putting in
and I know
175,
Gary's,
50 extra,
Gary's job
50
is
extra
figuring out
every year.
If we
fire
cut the,
safety, but
if we cut the
I
one
don't know if
down.
that's a
and
possibility,
Gary's
if we didn't look at,
So those.
because like on ours, we try to put
Burden
in
with that would be
that set
paying-
transfer every
We're like-
year.
Keith said, they're
Just
paying.
be fair which one I want to get first.
That insurance
That's gonna be the
anything.
Well, maybe one at the beginning of the
Because I
year
mean,
and then
hopefully
one
we're
at the
gonna,
very
when we
beginning.
look at the other stuff that we're gonna.
Especially if he's buying a used car, it could break
Well, if you got it
our
right
truck,
away in
break
January of
down,
27,
they would
it wouldn't be
get it.
like
I mean, there's so many what ifs.
2 full years, but I don't know, that's just an option that it would get you what you're wanting, and again, it would minimize that impact to the taxpayers because it would be the same set amount every year.
So 175 would raise us how much? What would that be?
It's almost half. of
Well,
what we
I mean, you have 285 on there, right?
Yep.
So it's gonna decrease 110 and your value of a mil is 323, so it'd decrease a third of a mil.
$323, I thought it was $315.
Not for the
His
fire.
revenue neutral mill
Oh,
rate is,
oh,
the value of a mill is 323,000.
yeah,
And if we're
almost
decreasing
320.
110, it would be a third of a mil. So it doesn't buy you a lot on decreasing as far as the mill.
And I think the 175 might be, you know, a good thing to do every year. So then that's how you're building up your fund. And then you know,
And so we'll get the guarantee of 175 every year.
Well, I mean, you don't have the same commissioners, so I don't know
Well,
that you could,
next year I will.
yes. So I mean, that's
Right.
where,
I would think that that's a reasonable 175. I think that's a reasonable increase to where, you know, here you have 285 this year. And then by the time we get to, I mean, and if we don't get some of these grants, that'll be helping to cover some of the costs of the other stuff that you want.
but I mean, you can't hold them to next year's budget because it's cash basis. So we can't predict what next year's gonna say 100%.
Right,
I mean, they can have the
I mean,
best
you can do
intentions,
that for anything, you know, we're funding, Gary, I mean.
Yeah, I know.
you can't- I mean, but I think 175 a year is doable to build that fund. I don't think that that's unreasonable.
I hate to though tell Gary that that's what, let's go with that, and then him not be able to, you know, yeah, so that's where I'm at. I would almost like to wait to see what the others, when we go through this other side of this stuff, see where we're at with that, and then give Gary an answer at that time.
Yeah, but they're two different budgets.
I know the overall result's gonna be, either, like you said, either we've got $81 there, and if we keep $100 over here,
They're two separate things.
I
They're not
understand that, but it's
together.
on your bill, they're gonna.
Yeah, but-
So that's what
But
I'm
for the
saying is.
rural, what you're
I see
saying
what
is
you're
the
saying.
rural.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
overall is whatever, if we cut the rest of it down enough to where we're good with that, and the only increase is what they're gonna see is the rural part of it, and that's gonna be a certain amount of citizens that they will serve that purpose, then, that's kind of where otherwise, if Gary's good with, the waiting until next year too, but,
well, and you guys do not have to make a decision today. As long as we have this figured out by August 11th, you guys can think about this, have discussions, and then determine which way to go as well.
Well, if those two already know what they want, we might as well, so you can get that budget done.
well, I just said what I thought I would like
Yeah.
to do is wait until
I think we need to look
Rest
at the
of it.
overall picture.
Okay.
and, I mean, not that we can't do it by the end of the day, but, that would be my is waiting,
Well,
going.
you give it some thought too, and I mean, I guess what I don't want to see happen is something catastrophic happen and the taxpayers find out, or it happens to one person and, well, we understand you didn't fund,
Kind of like in Kirk County, Texas.
Yeah.
We didn't fund the-
because we did have that one fire out south a couple years ago, and they were threatening to sue because of some equipment issues, so.
Well, even if you decide to go with the full 285 this year, I do think it would be really good to look at a set dollar amount going forward, just so that you don't have another year where you have to do this and you have that money available as you go. Might be a good way to look at it.
Well, I
think
like
that
what you
makes
said, Tammy,
sense.
with the, your illustration of, what he can get next year. It's just, whether, can you hold off that next year and we need to do our due diligence in making sure we try to get it funded for next year.
I just, what I think about is a third of a mil isn't gonna be much.
No, it's not. But I mean, every little bit counts
Sure.
too, because, we've had some departments that they may have only changed by 2,500, but that 2,500 is part of the big pool of dollars as a total, so.
Right.
I don't want to minimize any impact at this point until you guys get where you want to go.
Well, you give it some thought and we'll give it some thought.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Plod through the rest of this
And if 175 is not the number, maybe you can look at your list and kind of see what
Okay.
makes sense for a number two, not just necessarily this year, but in your future years too, for a plan. Okay, so that means you want to go back to the other one. Do you want to look at the appropriation list or back to the budget development worksheet?
Oh, I got too many papers in front of me. Let's go back to the worksheet. All right, well, that's something.
This worksheet you're talking about? Oh, that one.
Oh,
That one?
oh.
Oh.
Like I said, I got too many sheets. All right.
Do you want the first page or the second page or? This is the second page.
Yeah, stay on the same page.
Okay.
So revenue, you have projected it is slightly up.
Yep, and you can see the majority of it is in that unencumbered cash balance from the 9.3 million to the 7.3 million. So just for reference, one reason, but well, there's more than one reason. First off, you have to look at the $1 million transfer we made into CIP and the extra 250,000 to the facility fund. But also, if you recall, we had budgeted 1.5 million for the ambulance in 2024, and with the agreement that we did, we paid over 2 million. So there's another loss of 500,000 in cash. So that right there is pretty much your what makes up that $2 million difference. And just as a reminder, when you're looking at, that's an estimate of what I'm expecting based on 92% of expenses. And then I went through the revenue and recalculated what we received already and what we would expect to come in by the end of the year based off of that.
Tammy, did you, with this distribution stuff, that obviously the general fund hasn't gotten its full share of the tax. So have you taken that in consideration, what we should be
I
giving?
don't adjust the ad valorem tax. I leave that in as full as what we expected based on our levy. So no decrease to that. It's the full amount.
Okay.
But good question. So for instance, we budgeted 22 million, and right now what I've estimated is that we're gonna get 24 million in revenue.
Are you just saying because we haven't gotten the money yet, or?
I didn't know if she was using her carryover numbers as actual numbers or,
Or based on what
Right,
we've gotten so far, you
right.
mean?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one thing I do not adjust is taxes. So whatever we budgeted on taxes, I leave that.
I thought you had said something like that in one of the pieces.
Yeah.
But you just said budgeted 22 and expect 24.
But that's not just ad valorem. That's sales tax, that's your interest and penalty on taxes, all of those things are in the
That are in
general.
this column right here.
So I go through and I look at everything besides taxes. So I don't adjust the motor vehicle tax estimate that we get from the treasurer or the recreational or the 1620 or the commercial or the watercraft. I do adjust the special city and county highway if it doesn't look like it's matching up to what the estimate was. And same thing with antique tags. I look and see what we've actually collected and I'll adjust it. Investment income, I adjust. Sales tax, I adjust based on what we've collected. The interest penalty on taxes, I adjust that. So, and any fees down there, if they're coming in higher than what we see, then I adjust those up as well. So for instance, the sheriff's department, they have more money coming in than that 416 that was budgeted last year. So that was an increase that I added, which was about a 600,000 because they're already high. So, yeah, I take that into account. So in total, what we budgeted last year was 22, but I'm estimating that we're gonna collect at least 24.
But you also said too that come November, when the actual mill levy, it could go down.
It could. And so
Or not,
when you do
the
that,
valuation.
The valuation.
it would still be it's still gonna be the same amount that we levy in dollars. The only impact it's gonna have is what the levy rate is. So if our valuation goes down, and in order to collect those dollars that we say we're collecting, then the clerk's office has to increase the revenue, the rate, the mill rate. Likewise, if it would go above what this estimate is right now in July, then our mill rate would go down. But normally you see it go down a little bit, which means the mill rate has to go up.
So I'm confused. So when you're, like to set the R&R, and maybe I'm,
And that's why the
Apples.
R&R is, it says R&R, but the whole matter of the fact in that is that what you levied last year in dollars is what they're saying you can levy this year in dollars. The rate is just a calculation to get back to a number based on those dollars. So the real driver is you have to be able to collect the same dollar amount you levied last year.
right,
So-
it's supposed to kind of,
Yeah, but the rate is
Or
just
neutral.
like a secondary thing. They make it about the rate, but it's not about the rate. It's about the dollars that you levied. So last year we levied 16,627,893. So we should be able to levy 16,627,893 without any issues. And then if we go above that, which is what we're showing is that 17,837, because we're levying more, then we know we're above the revenue neutral rate. We can calculate it and tell you what that revenue neutral rate, but the bottom line is we're asking for 1.2 million more than we did last year. I think that the mill rate gets much more emphasis than it should,
Right.
because it's really about the dollars that we're asking for.
but I guess if I heard you right, our R&R went down from last year because of value went up, correct?
Right.
Okay.
The revenue neutral rate. So last year we levied 54.657 mills before the November valuation, but in just looking at this, we leave the July numbers in. So 54.657, but because our value is higher this year, in order to get the same dollars, then your revenue neutral mill rate has to go down to 52.502.
So if the valuation comes down in November, that's what's confusing me.
If it comes down in November, then the revenue neutral rate really doesn't matter at that point in time,
Okay,
because it's
the
still
threat-
about,
The monies are gonna,
dollars.
yeah.
the dollar.
so the clerk's office just backs into the mill levy rate based on those dollars that we finalize as what we're going to.
That's why I don't think it
Levy.
should be called a revenue neutral rate. It should be like a revenue neutral expense or dollars to where they're
It
saying.
doesn't make it very transparent to the people to understand. It causes a lot of confusion
Yeah.
to the people, is what it does.
It should be called a pain in the.
Yeah, well, it is called that by us. But, I mean, I get the premise for it. It's just the way that they present it, I think is very confusing.
Well, they could easily just simply say that you can generate the same dollars you levied last year and and just deal with the mill rate as a secondary to
Yeah.
that, not
Yeah.
make
But
it sound
I
like
think
it's
it's
the
because so
mill.
many years, the valuation was going up and people, a lot of commissioners, not just here, said, well, we didn't raise the mill levy, so your taxes didn't go up. Well, that was a lie.
Right. I mean, it is a misconception for sure.
Okay, any other questions on this? On the second
I
page?
just want to, okay, so I just want to make sure, because I was like trying to figure out some things with my calculator. If you take the 4.059 and you times it by the value of a mill, that's gonna
And
come
divide
out.
it by 1,000.
Okay, when I do it, it doesn't come out that right. So maybe I'm not, 0.59 times 315,364,800. Mine comes out to 1.28 not 1.20.
And that's your rounding, because
Oh,
if
okay.
if you went out the full amount of all the decimals,
Okay, I just wanna make
It's-
sure I have
it's
that
the
right.
decimal. Once you stop on that third one, you're still subject to rounding.
Okay. Just making sense, makes sense.
That's why when I calculate it, I use this worksheet and I use our state budget, and I make sure I can get the two to match because of the rounding. And likewise, that's when you go to put your number down for that amount of ad valorem tax required, and you just take your expenditures minus your resources. That doesn't work because of the delinquency rate and because of the NRP that I have to add back in there.
So, under the fees, the grant for emergency management, last year 29,000, this year 0.
Yeah, that's that 27,000 EMPG grant. That's a federal grant that we don't have any guarantee. So
Right.
Gary
So
said
you're just
should probably take it out.
being conservative, you're,
Well, if you're not being conservative, you're not- if we don't have it, we don't have it.
Well, I mean, based on everything we're seeing with the federal, I don't think we'll get it.
Yeah.
Not being conservative, but being realistic
Okay.
Yeah.
on that one. And the juvenile detention food transport, in the past, they had that contract with them and that no longer exists. So that's why that dollar amount is at 0 as well.
okay.
I think we could just, on the public works fees, I know I asked you about that, cause that's a huge $28,000 decrease in that revenue.
Well, so that's, and I can explain the reason behind that. In 2025, it was the first year that we no longer were charging anybody out in the general fund. And so they estimated that because they weren't sure how that was going to come about. So now that we've had a year and we've seen the impact, they actually know and they think that 35 is more realistic.
In diversions.
So that's based off of exactly what she's been collecting. And I'm 50 is too high for 25. She's not gonna hit 50 in 25. And so realistically, based on 24 and 23, that 25 is more realistic. Unless something changes in how they operate. GIS went up 20, so they're very optimistic about what they're doing on their inspections and such. And the
Permits.
sheriffs went up tremendously, and I think that's more realistic based on what we're seeing in the numbers now.
Any other questions? Kathy, you got anything?
You can see the large impact on the health department's payroll from where they were last year.
Yeah, we could look at this all day long, but the fact of the matter is, we're gonna start having to do some slashing. Cause there's not any other way around it without this. Cause I keep thinking about next year as well as where we're gonna be, because this, to me, it's gonna be a continued cycle with this. So,
Well, the payroll will help that actually your payroll should be relatively flat from last year or this year to next, 26 to 27. Because of the 27th pay period, it's almost as if you got the 2 raises in 26 and then it stays flat in 27 because of that 27 payroll. So you will see a very small adjustment on there, but we also, with the CIP, depending on how you want to fund it, how you want to approve things, you may have to make adjustments on that transfer. And depending on what's happening with the jail, the dollar amount may not be enough for the facility fund if we have to keep dealing with high dollar repairs.
well, I keep going back and around as well, and as salaries pay a big part of all of this stuff, and when you cut on to, core services, which I would hate, but the fact of the matter is, with our salaries and I'm very happy that we did that, when I think that I looked on whatever we had in 2022 for salaries at $8,400,000, and now we're at $13,382. That's 65% raise, and how do you throw all that in one bucket and then want to pay this other stuff? And that's a sizable increase for any company to bear, and that's unfortunately, and we can't necessarily cut them, but the fact of the matter is, how else, that's what, these others are gonna have to bear the cost of that in services.
Our employees were very severely underpaid.
Oh, I agree, I'm not, I fully need to, but, I guess, in thinking, if we would have done it more gradually, I don't think we would see the impact as such, and maybe you disagree with me, Tammy, when I keep going around this stuff, I keep coming back over, where can you cut, you can't, and where's the biggest cost, and it's in salaries. I mean, that's with all of our budgets, the majority of it's our salaries, but, so do we want to have all, that's where I just keep coming back to,
Well, and that's why I really do want to, after this budget session's over, to have a discussion about doing that operational audit and see if.
Yeah, I agree, because, I just,
Because,
I mean, who are we to say, with all of these services with appropriations, you hate to cut that. But, my thing is I want to be able to provide core services first. But when you look at that and, people are doing their due diligence and being frugal under the circumstances, but my goodness, then how do you,
I mean, we, even though the federal government cut those federal grants, and, we had to let go of 2, even though we weren't paying by the proper debt, we had to let 2 people go.
well, that's
And,
that's
we could we have
my mind,
could
that's
we
the
have
only
done
thing
that?
that you
Yeah.
can do, and
And so people are gonna have to start sacrificing like we have. Like, we had to let 2 people go.
or a hiring freeze or something, because I don't know how we're gonna be able to continually sustain what we're doing under what we've got. So is that where we're at now? And I'm looking at doing it. So I've looked at this other stuff, and I really haven't come up with any ingenious ideas about doing whatever. So I was just gonna listen. I was looking at the general fund stuff, Tammy, on that you had, and I wasn't sure, on some of those that had a little bit more significant increases, with the property liability insurance going from it's $475 last year to $578,000. Is that from actual some things happening that I cut?
No, they told us that we could expect at least a 15% increase. And then we pay a portion of the the property, vehicle, not property, but the vehicle and liability insurance for community corrections. So they divide it between the counties, and we also fund a small amount of that.
And transportation services, what does that cover?
That's when they take bodies, deaths, and they take them to have an autopsy.
I thought that was in the sheriff's budget though. It's not.
It should
Coroner,
be.
where's coroner
So
at?
the coroner's in there as well. So there's a coroner cost for them to come to the site, and we usually pay our coroner twice a year, depending on when he gives us a bill. And then the
I knew it.
transportation is from here to,
I knew it did come out of there, I just.
and
seems like I saw
they've
it someplace
increased
else.
the autopsy cost
Yeah, they're expensive.
tremendously. We've seen a huge increase on
And
that.
then on the hardware, the support and maintenance went from 50,000 to 150,000, 100,000. What of that? What?
So if you would look at the software, the hardware, and I don't have it in front of me.
Well, one went down. I see one went down.
Right, and one would have went up because of where they're actually being posted. So that's where we're getting where we're setting our account line item, and so trying to get it to match up
And then on
better
the-
with where it's paid from.
Coroner autopsies. I see that one.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then our indigent panel is relatively expensive, and that's just trying to make sure we have them available to take those cases, which has been kind of a struggle. So that's not a small amount. So for instance, with the hardware and the software, we have our Next Tech, we have Civic Plus, we have the costs that we pay for CIC, and
Maybe we'll get something back from that.
and then
Yeah, see.
there's another one that for the ADA, we have to pay something for ADA to be ADA compliant. And that's an annual cost. So that's what those costs make up. And then we have the copier lease in there. That's another cost that goes through there. The paper for everybody in this building is paid for out of that fund. The postage is paid from there.
And the miscellaneous fees, we budgeted at that 100,000 same this year, but
That's the Dick Edwards. The TIF that we have to give them money.
Okay.
And that, how much longer? I don't think there's that much longer, is it?
I
20 years?
feel like it's 2032 again. I think it's back to that 2032 year again.
What?
The Bluffs ended, but we still have the Dick Edwards TIF.
You know, like I said, I mean, you know, I think we're very frugal when you look at that to run a county, that's pretty minimal cost. And I think that that's where we're, the other place too that I was looking at was, the, GIS, you know, Troy had in there that, the contract for the pictometry, that they're gonna do it every year instead of every 3 years, and that cost was pretty sizable. And maybe we might have to ask him to go back to every 3 years to save some of those costs a little bit. Or does it have to be done, what changes
doesn't
so
have
much
to
that
be
they have to be done every other year, I guess, that's $38,000.
I mean, I think that's a good conversation to have. I can certainly have him come back in at our next budget work session and have him talk through that with you.
I was just looking at some of the ones that we hadn't looked at, so.
No, that's a good question.
Yeah. But there again, you still have to save up for that, wouldn't you? I mean,
No, because if you only do it every 3 years, so if you do it
Oh,
every year, you're paying the same amount every year, but if you're doing it you would only be paying once.
right.
I mean, he could, but it would do him no good because he's in the general and he doesn't get carryover cash in there. So,
No, that is a good question.
Because I think that, going through and, back over those that we've asked to reduce and do whatever, to me, you just have to start back over and go back and we're gonna have to cut a lot more. I don't know what your suggestions are. I was,
I
I,
gave
you
you
know, I
guys
know,
my suggestion.
yeah.
You
Well,
have
and in
not
the
given any
past-
suggestions.
but,
I'm,
I don't know if we
I'm
want,
worried more about appropriations.
right, yeah,
Right,
that's
yeah.
where, that's where, I think we're gonna,
And one adjustment that we made to make sure that we're able to fund requests is the CIP, because you know, you can look at their capital improvement and we're not budgeting high dollar in those line, or those capital outlay line items within the departments, because if it's over 5,000, it's eligible for CIP. Unless it's an operating cost, and then it's not. So the leases shouldn't be going there, and normal operating costs that they incur every single year should not be a part of the CIP request, but
yeah, you hate to cut that back because we did that years ago too. And, you know, that's, you know, you've got to sustain those. You know, we had a CIP type thing, you know, years ago, and we just couldn't keep it funded. So that's where, you know, they started doing away with it and cut it down,
Yeah,
cut
in
it
the
down.
end, that makes us, I think we pay more.
Right, well, I agree, and that's what, but, you know, the fact of the matter is, that's what we had to do at the time, and, you hate to do that for sure.
At one time, we could do an
Sustain it.
add a bus, $250,000.
260
$260?
when I came on.
And I think I'd said too that, you know, with all of these appropriations, you know, they're near and dear to your heart. You'd love to sustain all of them, but the fact of the matter is, how do you choose one over the other? And to me, the fair way to do it is that you have to wire it down all the same, right down the line. Because I don't want to make a choice over one or the other. I mean, we've talked about, you know, a point was given to us from, you know, Main Street. You know, Main Street's very important. They're taking giant strides and doing a lot of things good for our community. But what does it do for those people that live in Milford and Alta Vista that are in Geary County?
It adds to our tax base. I mean,
Well, I'm just saying that's what, you know, that was brought up, you know, is that
yeah, but I mean,
Business.
when Junction City, because we have such a unique, county, we have one large city and two small cities that do not have a lot of businesses. They don't have main streets. But I think that the Main Street has shown a return on their investment.
Well, it's a focal point. It should be, you know, I'm just, was restating, you know, what comments.
No, I know, and so I
explained,
explained, because I'd gotten the same email, and, you know, and I explained to them, I was like, they can show, they brought over 90 jobs. They've assisted numerous businesses. They not only help businesses that are on Main Street, they give education to any small business that wants it. They have those education classes. The grants, they brought in over $200,000 grants just this year. And so, I mean, I think I can show, and I think I can justify my opinion, and we did cut them a little bit. We did cut them.
And I'm not saying they're bad by no means.
No, I think, but we do need to qualify. I mean,
when you think
you
of
know,
some
but
of
then
these-
I got people asking, why are we giving $130,000 to our historical
Right.
society and not, and giving a
That's why I
quarter
asked
of
what their
that to
suggestions are.
to our homeless shelter. And I did a lot of research, and we give a lot of money compared to other counties our size.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, Saline County doesn't give anything to their historical society, neither does Leavenworth. I'm trying to think, Harvey County, which is about the same size as us, I think they give about 57.
I know Wakefield, I mean, we've got a nice museum up there, and they've never went after tax dollars. I mean, it's all been donated And we've got a nice.
But I don't wanna
museum up there.
like just gut their whole thing. I mean, I wanna go down to 100 for them. I mean, we cut, out of us $61,000, so it's not like
What
we're
did you want to do?
go to 100,000 on. I mean, you guys need to give some, what Kathy you have, but Keith hasn't said anything.
Well, you wanna hear mine, huh?
Go ahead.
So,
Are we gonna just start at the top like we did before? I like the way that we did that.
Yeah.
Go.
yeah. So I think with the reduction of Three Rivers, I'm okay with that.
I cut them 1,000.
I can go with that, that's fine.
To 15,
Mm-hmm.
Kathy,
Yes.
you're good with that? Yeah. Out of us?
Out of us, I'd cut them even more. I mean,
Well, and I do not have a problem with cutting them more next year, but 61,000, I don't wanna like totally, we need to give them a little bit to, cause I told them, I was like, we cut you already to 100,000. I feel that, 61,000 this year is good, and I'm more than happy to cut them more next year. I don't wanna dismantle them totally.
You said 61,000 to take off the 100,000?
No,
Or-
no, their request
leave it
was
at
161 and we gave them
Okay.
at 100. So I wanna keep them there unless we absolutely have to, but
Kathy, Keith?
If maybe we could come back to that.
yeah, we can.
Big Lakes?
I have them down at 98,000.
We were at 97, 149.
Yes.
Oh, we were?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got it down on
I think we can go to 90 on that.
them. Okay.
Yeah,
To what?
90.
I would be good with that.
Okay, extension?
And I talked to them, I would set them at 370. They said they could survive on 370.
You guys good with that?
MPO, that's a formula. Regional council, that's population based. Leadership program, I think is fine where it's at because
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with that. The fair, and if we had 18,000, I think that's good. Freedom Fest, and you talked about, maybe having,
yeah, I
So-
even reached out to, Raquel yesterday, cause I think you said, did you verify, have they been giving 20?
Yeah, they were given 20 this year.
And then we gave them 10.
Mhm.
And then, so I was just thinking, because that is our largest, draw to people here. And,
So I did reach out to some of the hoteliers. All of the bands stayed at the Sonesta this year. There were a sprinkle of guests that stayed overnight at some of the other hotels. So
I know that the, what's the one, Hampton Inn was full because my neighbor, or my family tried to stay there. So
And-
they were full.
So historically, what I looked up was the CVB historically would do 10,000. And then this year, they did 20,000 under the direction of Rick for the interim stuff.
Well, it was approved through us. I
Right,
couldn't
right.
remember.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Well, then let's, I mean, I think we need to take it out of the ad valorem and put it in the CVB, but maybe, if you guys just wanna do 25 for them next year through the CVB.
And take it out of here?
Yeah, just take 10,000 out of there and then have, because
Well, it
that's
makes
what that
sense,
money
yeah,
is
yeah,
for,
right.
is for, you
Yeah,
know,
for
to
tourism.
market our community and bring events to our community,
Yeah.
so, I forgot it went up from 10 to 20, so yeah, I think that, 25 next year will be good for them through the CVB.
But you wanna take it to 0 on this
Yeah.
sheet that to affect
Yeah.
ad valorem?
Mm-hmm.
fresh start, I can't decide, I mean, I think there needs to be a reduction, but I just couldn't come up with a
They have
number.
a lot of, grants out there, and if they
Yeah.
got the grants, then they would, I doubt would be.
Well,
pretty
I
good.
was thinking 4250 for, cutting 2,500 off of there.
No, I was leaning towards 40, making it even 5.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Kathy?
Yeah.
The Historical Society's at 115, and I think we need to go to 100 for them.
You guys good with that?
What percentage of cut is that? Is it, compared to?
I was leaning towards 110, but that was just my number.
And I'll go with 105.
I know that.
You're right here.
Yeah, yeah.
107.
105?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. For this year, yeah.
Yeah, and I think they need to understand we're probably gonna cut them next year too.
EMS, that's untouchable.
Juneteenth, did we do 1,000?
Pardon?
What, didn't we take Juneteenth down to 1,000 or 1,500? I can't remember.
It
what.
was
1,000.
1,500 originally.
Oh, and we gave them 1,500 last year and,
No, we gave them 2 last year.
okay,
And I have 1,000 down.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I think the more of these like that, and not that that's not a good, event to have, but I think it just opens the door for everybody else to come and ask for,
Mhm.
that's why we're at, where we're at.
Well, Juneteenth brings a lot of people out of town too.
Yeah.
It's not near as big as Freedom Fest, but, they do,
Sure.
bring
And I'm
some people.
just saying that because we're on that, but there's
Yeah.
some smaller ones here, all these
Mhm.
smaller ones that.
Main Street, we had talked about 20, or are we still good with that?
I'm good with that 20.
Huh?
I'm good with 20.
Military affairs, we talked about. All right, this is one that I talked to Tammy about, and it's confusing to me. So the master agreement, the $500,000, is it, I can't remember, is it strictly for EDC, or is it
That's where I was confused
under
with
the
this.
change?
Yes,
When I first
It
started.
is for EDC. I think that, and I was just trying to spread that, which is why instead of giving it all to EDC, give the 5,000 to MAC and the 5,000 to EDC. If you want to give the 10,000 to EDC and nothing to MAC, but I
Oh,
just,
no,
it's just,
I think Rob's doing.
exactly,
way
that's why I suggested that the split where, the money we're supposed to give them, because I think MAC has a little bit of economic development in there because he deals with the businesses, trying to find, hook up soldiers with our employers. I mean, I think it covers that. And so my suggestion was just that, instead of giving it all to EDC, split it between MAC and EDC. But, I mean, you guys do, that was my suggestion. I think Rob's doing a great job too.
I know, I think he's doing better than next door. I really do.
I do too, but that's why I guess I was trying to compromise to
Yeah,
put money in that.
but, I tried contacting him yesterday and he texted me back, said they were on vacation. I said, then don't worry about it. I'll find an answer to my question. So. All right, so we're good with 70,000 to MAC, right?
Yeah.
Now, area agency on aging, I reduced it down to 25,000.
Well, I think I was, yeah, I did two. I did two, 25. Mhm.
Kathy, you good with that?
Yeah,
Juvenile, that's a formula. Opera House, we have 55. What's the thoughts? Because I really was confused on this one too.
confused or?
No, just what, I don't know what to do with it. Tammy brought up a question. I mean, the city owns the building. So what are we paying for maintenance on that? What are we paying?
I think it just goes to the operation of it, what we pay. I mean, I have to look at I haven't looked at the budget for a minute.
I think they're bringing about a lot of good things for the kids and, quality of life. You have to be careful for it with, do you want to fund quality of life? But quality of life to me is very important in our community.
It is, it is.
And,
I mean, if you want to go back down to the 57.5. What they got in 24.
Well, that's an increase.
Yeah, because we went
Oh, we went to 50?
55.
Oh, sorry. I just forgot that we did that, yeah. I'm good with 55.
All right.
I mean, we did cut that a little bit.
So what did you
Bonnie,
decide on Opera House?
55.
55, sorry. I forgot we had already taken that down.
Bonnie, I know it's important, but I went to 210.
I would be good with that.
I struggled with this, but, Tammy bringing up how much we spend on maintenance out there, that's huge, as well. So I do think we need to cut the senior citizen center a little bit. Did we didn't,
You went from 177 to 175.
I was thinking 170.
What?
170.
Yeah, I struggled with this one as well.
I know, it's important, but we spend a
Well,
lot of money.
I'm
and-
getting up there. I mean, they serve a purpose, they really do.
They do serve a purpose, but, how much are the taxpayers responsible? I think 170 is a good chunk of change. I mean, it's not, and, I think that sometimes we get complacent because they think, oh, well, we're gonna get all this money every year, and they don't up their fundraising and advocating and, I mean, reaching out to these trusts that people have set up specifically for things like this.
Yeah, I guess I could go 170.
Kathy?
Yeah.
We had down, that's my place here,
Silver haired legislature. next.
150 is where I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
150, yeah, me too.
Soil conservation, there again, that's a matching grant.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that, their funding. Tammy, is that just,
The state will match up to 50,000, I think. Depending on what the county puts in. So if we put 34 in, they get 34 from the state. They changed that just recently.
To where they might double it. They might double it.
I think they already approved that, didn't they?
They approved it, that it's possible to do it. That doesn't mean they're going to do it.
Okay.
But we would still have to match at least the 30. We wouldn't have to double.
No.
No,
If they would,
no.
like, if we put in 30, instead of them
They'll
putting
put
30,
in
they put in
60.
60.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I thought that got approved.
it got approved that they can do it up to double, but depends on the budget on if they're going to or not. That's what
On
the,
the local,
yeah.
yeah. Well, I left it alone.
Yeah, I left it alone too until we figure out how that's gonna work with them getting double. You know, I did talk to Tammy a little bit and maybe next year, this might be something we can wiggle on. You know, we let them stay there for free, we maintenance it, we, spray, we do all that other stuff. I think we pay for the phone too. We pay for the phone too.
I'm not 100%
I don't think
positive
so.
on that.
But that is not included in the in kind, so I think next year we can do it to where we make them pay that and then use that money and have the state reimburse.
We get, you know, it's obviously an important function to have in our county, but exactly, you know, how many does it serve and?
Well, it serves everybody that needs it, but mostly rural people, and, they, provide a lot of education on water preservation. Every county, I think, every county provides money.
I think so.
All 105. And when I looked, we were pretty much, you know, based on our size, Pot County gives like 4 times as much
So
to them.
Figure
But most
Repair, replace
counties,
services. Okay.
most counties,
I
Give
did
about
never
what we
really
did.
read into that much.
yeah,
So,
Pot County's valuation is more than double ours as well.
yes, I know,
Through Jeffries
Yeah.
Industries, so they have a little bit more
For
money
now.
coming in
for now.
for, until probably 2030.
Yeah, that's only 5 years from
I
now.
know, but still,
That they what?
Their energy
So
center
how
only
much
will be
is
open
the
till
soil
then.
preservation?
Cut.
no
30.
change right now, the 30,450.
Or, okay.
We talked about the YMCA similar to,
We did talk about that with the new 1%. I think that is because they have pickleball in there now, and they can host. I think that does fit in with our sports improvement for the 1%.
And that's gonna happen after the
first,
resolution, so they'll get their money here in the.
no, this will be for January 1.
January.
Right, yeah,
and
Right.
that's what I mean.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're all in agreement to do that when we take this out of here.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
I think-
okay.
Yes, I think.
But technically, if they needed it prior to that, as soon as the resolution was done and approved, you guys could approve it from
Well, not
there.
that I'd read that way.
Because I think you were going to take some from what you have right now.
Yeah, to be able
serve
to-
that first
oh,
100,000.
Yes,
Oh.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we could. I just want to make sure we were all, or at least 2 of us were in agreement to do
But
that
then
before
would
we
they
took
need
it.
that 15,026?
Well, it's off, you guys put 0 on that and that it would come from sports complex,
So
not,
we would be considering that in a as-needed type thing.
No, I don't think it's that, they're
No.
asking that every year. They were just doing it towards the floor
Mhm.
and to where we could,
But I'm
host
saying
those
that if we
tournaments.
took care of this now, and let's say in July of next year, they said, you know, we'd really like to have an additional, start fixing up the weight room and, put a new floor in there. They come to us and say, would you help fund that?
Well, they could,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm saying,
yeah,
as
yeah.
needed type.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant they were gonna have like a
No,
regular,
no,
okay.
no, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
no, I
as long
agree.
as you have that, whatever you have left of the 100,000 each year, then you should be able to
Okay,
do
yeah.
that for those kinds of entities. 40
Well,
and 8.
You know, I think we started, this to help with the veterans meal. So I know, did we lower that?
Yeah,
500?
750, yeah, but it's
to
750.
750.
Yeah, but that's what we approved already, right?
No,
Last year, is that what they got? What
Well,
did they get
last year they got 750, but you also, this year they asked for 2 again, and you preliminarily have approved it down at 750.
That's what I have down.
So they got 750 last year and we were cutting everybody else. So I don't know, maybe 600.
Yeah, I would be good with that.
Okay.
The membership is at that step of strength where you've been the last couple of years. They had asked about increasing it to 4,500, I think, and we left it at the level you've been at previously.
Yeah, I think that's good now.
And then the Economic Development Commission.
And that's, goes back to the split. So
We'll do 150
150,
based on our, and if you guys wanna, I think it's something that we need to talk to the joint, city, county, school district about what our vision is and what we expect from that.
I agree.
Now, Circle A,
That's from the special alcohol, so that, I mean, you can make an adjustment. It's just not going to affect the ad valorem tax.
no, I mean, that's fine.
And the same with community corrections. It'll affect the opioid fund, but it won't affect ad valorem tax. And she had already decreased it from the 43 to the 26. And that 43 was her first year kind of testing it to see where she was gonna be. So based on her numbers, she's thinking 26 is a better estimate for that.
Food pantry, what did we, I had a question.
That was a one-time payment
Yeah, they,
to help with building the
Oh,
building and all
okay.
that.
yeah.
Yeah, it was just a
They're
one.
not,
Oh, okay.
they won't be asking.
Oh, okay.
And then the involvement team, again, it doesn't affect your ad valorem unless you determine to fund it in a different way. But you did decrease that one from 5 to 15
Well,
to just cover the camp.
yeah, and I think that's where, I talked, I mean, if you guys wanted to give them the 25, but I remember when they talked about it, they said that the 15 would cover the camp, which is what they're doing with the prevention
Yeah,
stuff,
that's
so.
what you said last time too.
So, I mean, that covers your concern too, Kathy, and
Yeah.
that's why, so whatever you guys want to do is fine.
Yeah, the 15 is good, and I understood Betsy was going after AG opinion.
Well, I don't know, she gave us her opinion that she felt that it was, but I mean, I think
I
she
thought she
maybe.
asked, and we said, I said, yeah, I would appreciate
Okay.
you doing that.
Yeah.
Just to get, so you didn't have to keep coming up, and then they had a newer version of it to refer to.
And then the library district, I mean, we could have Susan come back again, but we did that in 24 when she asked for the increase from 95 to 110. And she explained how the library district functioned
Mhm.
and the increase that she had in place. But I'd be more than happy to tell her if you wanted her to come back.
I'm okay, because it's a separate levy.
It's a special district levy
Yeah.
for, that encompasses pretty much everything.
I'm fine with leaving it.
Me too.
At 120?
Mhm.
They get a lot of people in and out of the library. I
They
take the
do.
kids during the summertime, it's like, Lord, they
I don't think people realize how much the
Yeah.
library is used.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think you went through every one of them except Adibus that you wanted to come back to.
I'm talking to Ann or them, what,
Oh, they're devastated that we're going to 100.
okay,
And, and I told them, I was like, listen, we just cannot sustain this. We've carried this but I think, we're pretty much cutting them the most out of anybody, and I'd rather not see them go under 100 this year. I'm more than welcome, I'm more than happy to talk about it next year,
Yeah.
even though.
I just have a problem, them not servicing the rural people. I wish they had more, and I'm not really sure, you get those complaints about not having that ability to ride, but then on the other hand, if it's available, how many would ride it?
Yeah.
Actually take advantage of it, you don't want to.
well, you see that in town.
No, and that's why I'm not saying that we shouldn't lower them. I'm just saying I don't want to do it all at once to decimate their whole program.
Because they'll still get their federal match,
Only by for what we give them.
right? Well,
Now, how many, I don't, in their information that they have, does it say in there that we're actually, how many they actually serve, or did you have that information? Cause you started seeing something, Trish.
Yeah, I took pictures of the,
I would like
second,
I would think that it should be in their information, but I looked and I didn't make any notes anywhere. Cause she said they're having conversations with Fort Riley.
So, I didn't add this up, but, do you wanna?
Yeah.
59,704 is what your decrease is,
59,000.
704.
Okay, so in the fourth quarter, these are the people that, the numbers of people that they have, but I didn't add them all up, so if you wanna add them, like Dillon's, they took 825 people to Dillon's, 824 to Walmart, 440 to Handy's, 336 to the high school,
How many did I say?
336
In the fourth quarter.
in the fourth quarter.
336, okay.
Spring Valley, 370, Hospital, 380, the library, 435, 14th and Calhoun, 270, Ponyville Health, 301, and Westwood, 226.
4,407.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It's a handy dandy little calculator.
Yeah.
okay,
So basically for the school district, and then about 700 kids that are.
I didn't do a separate.
Yeah, well.
And that'll, the next quarter, because school's out, it's gonna be lower from
Sure.
that, for that anyway. But, I mean, some kids ride during the summer, so, but they won't go to the high school, they'll just ride probably to the pool area. So, I'm confused on this. You did add the 1% COLA into this last?
If you look at the bottom of the front page, right under line 21, you see that? The 150,486 is a negative, that's for a no COLA.
So this is before the COLA?
Well, this is taking the COLA off.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking when you sent that to us, that you had put that COLA back in.
I didn't at this point in time because you guys had not said to do that, so I left it as what you had asked the first time around. The only thing I did was decrease it from 152 to 150 because of the changes of the personnel positions.
well, I'm in favor of giving the COLA. I think for morale,
Well, it's not that I don't want to give the COLA, but we're raising our taxes at $1.2 million right now. And even with the 54, 59, I was thinking of maybe just doing half a COLA and then us take a 5% cut in our pay each. And that would be about $6,000. So that would cover the half a COLA with the 59 that we did, almost. So if you added 59 with it, so it would be 65, and then a half of a COLA would be what?
About 75.
So it would cover almost that. So then they are getting something past their 3% step. I'm just sick to my stomach that we're going up. And I understand why. I mean, it's not because anybody's doing anything extravagant, but I just,
Well, I do too. I don't know where we're sitting at now with you didn't add this up, what if we?
59.
59,704.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry,
That's your decrease.
So that didn't do much, did it?
No,
That's what I say, so yeah.
but if we
So-
each took a $2,000 cut in pay, which is 5%, that would add about $6,000 to that.
So something we hadn't talked about too was, and Tammy and I talked about this, but we could always cut back on our reserves or our CIP, and you might explain it.
So we've been putting the 250 in each year for the reserves to get us to that 3 million mark for a policy that we have out there. So if you didn't fund the full 250, but instead funded 100 and then also funded the COLA, it would still be where we're at now. And then at the end of 25, if my estimates come in higher so that we actually have more cash than I'm estimating at that 7.3, you could look at making up that difference of the 150 at that time. So the reason behind that would be is this COLA would start from day one, whereas it may be March before you would make a determination when we finalized our year of whether that cash would be available to fund the reserve. And then I had it in my list, and Kathy also brought it up about moving some that we'd already moved over back to the general fund. For instance, the CIP, was there some of the money of that million we moved over that we could look at putting back into the general fund? And you could do that.
But is that kicking the can down the road? I mean, not
I
the
don't think it's
reserve
kicking
part.
the can down the road. Well, the reserve, I mean, you know, if you end up funding it in full because the numbers come in higher, then no, it won't hurt at all.
Yeah,
The CIP part is,
that's the
again,
part.
you just have to look at what we have in our list, what's been being asked for, and, you know, the projections of what we've been making in interest and what we've been moving across, and determine whether we're gonna be able to keep funding at the level we are.
Mhm.
I don't think it's to a point to where you're gonna just stop funding CIP and because you can't handle it. It's just gonna be that, you know, you may not be able to fund 3 patrol cars every year. Or there may be some equipment in the public works that they could look at from a lease perspective.
And
instead
that's
of
what
a
the
buy
operational
perspective.
audit will do, is look at those kind of things and,
At least to purchase some.
Well, like a motor grader would be a good example to do a lease.
yeah, 'cause you're not,
So you could lease it for 3 years. Again, you minimize what your cost is annually instead of a big cost all at once. So,
well, I'm okay with, I'm okay with doing the reserve and then able to do the COLA. Switching that out.
and then you can visit in March of next year and determine where our numbers are and whether
To
it
add
makes
that
sense
back in
to
there.
go ahead and put the 150 back in, or whether you just need to hold off and.
Or, you know, there might be enough just to do half, I mean, better than none, you know. If we,
Half of,
like,
COLA.
do the 75, no, if, depending on how much our overage is.
right,
You know, I mean, it doesn't have to be,
right. And you don't even have to make that decision today. That can just be something I can have on my calendar to check in with you and see, you know, what you're thinking at that point in time, so.
Yeah, I'm good with taking some of our reserves.
How much? they want to-
Well, I mean, it's 150,486 is what we show for the COLA, but would you be good with us just doing the 150 and leaving it even dollars?
Yeah.
So that it's 100,000 funded and the 150 towards the COLA.
yes, I think that sounds good. Yeah, Kathy, you good? Is there anything else we can do to, cut that 59, another 20 or so?
Well, I say yes, there is. It's whether you're comfortable in doing it. I mean, you know,
I am
you
fine
could
with
cut
cutting
this
our
to zero other
appropriation.
than the
Yeah.
EMS and extension and,
What are your other suggestions, Tammy?
well, I mean, I
She's
don't.
talking about the, appropriations, so it just depends on how much, I mean, we got suggestions from several different, department heads, that it's our response, you know, they would say, don't fund anything.
Well, and
But we also have some,
Well, I mean,
I
it's
think,
just as,
obligation.
with, you know, again, my my preference, you know, it is nice to hear from different folks. I mean, just like what's Tammy's, idea of what is her numbers, and then how does that make it makes it easier for me too than, you know.
But I don't think I don't think our non-elected, department heads should be, you know, they can share with us in private, but,
Sure.
you know, I don't feel like they
I'm
should have
talking
to.
about Tammy as finance making the suggestion.
I think it's a very tough decision, and as I've told you before, I think they're all worthy of appropriations. And I'm not comfortable in giving you a number because I'm not elected and I don't answer to them, I answer to you. You guys have to answer to them, and you have to be comfortable with that decision, and
I don't think it's fair to ask a non-elected.
Well, I thought she said she had numbers.
Well, she's given
Well,
some
Just meaning that
suggestions on,
you could,
I don't
You
want
can
to.
cut the
you could cut them all if
appropriations.
you wanted.
Yeah.
and I think we've heard that in the staff meeting. I mean, people
Sure.
think we should cut the appropriations, and I'm not against cutting them. And I think that when we do send out the notification of what we are getting, that they should expect cuts next year, because we're gonna be in the same position.
I don't think it's gonna get any better.
Mhm.
So,
I mean, again, with the.
Well,
Well-
so I am gonna give you one thing that I think, on the Main Street, I think you could do Main Street through CBB as well as the Freedom Fest. That, I'm not saying not fund it, but I think that you could validate having those funds paid from CBB. So I will tell you that.
you know, and maybe we should look at something like, we have a specific budget for events like Freedom Fest and Main Street, you know, because they host all those, they host stuff all throughout the year. You know.
Well,
as
she
far
made
as-
that comment about Main Street, and I wouldn't have a problem with that because it fits it right under there with,
Do you think,
with the Freedom Fest and whatever.
I mean, I think it's monies that are specifically
I think,
dedicated to bring stuff to our community. So, I mean, I was against it, but I mean, if it's something that's gonna help us, I think that, you know, it's not an impact from ad valorem.
Mhm.
Juneteenth is another one that I think could go to CBB.
Which one?
I agree exactly with what you're saying. Those things like that we just are talking
That's a
about,
good
that
idea.
those things like that need to come from
Well,
CBB is what I
Raquel just
think.
left,
Yeah.
because we're talking about, you know, taking some money that, but I feel that we should, and she hasn't sat down with Tammy, even though we told her how many weeks ago to do that.
We're meeting tomorrow, right?
Well, I think that there needs to be, are you gonna be in there too, Keith? Okay. Well, I'd be more than happy to go in there, because
Which I did ask for the minutes from those meetings.
Okay,
Said
good.
she hasn't presented them before. She sent them to me, but just FYI, now that you said that.
I think we all should get them, I
Right,
agree with
right.
you on that. But what time is that meeting? What time is your meeting?
9:30.
Well,
And
I think one of
technically,
us
Opera
needs to
House
be
is
there.
another one that you could potentially look at CBB because they bring people to the community.
See, there you go.
So.
I know, but I don't wanna cut her whole
So I'm
budget.
not talking about
But-
cutting anybody, just where the
No,
dollars
no,
are
I
coming
know,
from.
okay, so let me meet with them tomorrow and we can look at what,
I mean,
because there's some things that we talked about them needing to cut as
Do
far
they
as all
care?
their
Right.
traveling.
but as far as Opera House and those places that she suggested, the Opera House and
Juneteenth,
Juneteenth.
Main Street, and then you already were planning.
Or
on
even
doing
half and half.
Freedom Fest.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, maybe half and half
But
the
I-
appropriations and half
I
that.
would still stick to the numbers that we agreed on today,
Mhm.
the cuts,
Yes, no,
not their full request.
I think it makes
agree.
perfectly good sense and all the complaints that we get about funding these things. That we throw it into CBB, which is supposed to be, that serves that purpose, that it makes sense to me that's where those need to go.
Well, and the out-of-town tourist,
Well, and it does
But
make
maybe-
sense doing half with us and half with, on the Opera House, because those monies are used to bring performers into the Opera House, so.
And you bring people from out of town to see them.
That's what I
so-
meant, yeah, I mean, if they do half of that and then half of the,
Well, look at, the example I gave about the, Morris County Commissioner came up for acoustic junction,
yeah,
you know.
and they went
Yeah,
out
they
to eat
didn't
after.
spend the night,
But
but they
they-
were
but
here.
they
and
went out to eat,
and ate
yeah.
at the restaurant.
Yep. No, I agree. Well, I'll come in tomorrow and meet with them and we can go over and maybe set a specific budget for things
That would
like
take
Freedom
care- that would
Fest.
take care of that, and then some.
Yeah.
Well, and then I can just tell you.
But I
this.
also don't wanna gut her.
Right.
You're not gutting
thing.
it because the presentation she gave you had over $300,000 left in cash that she hadn't
Yeah, that's-
allocated anywhere.
Well, that's what when we.
So
Okay.
there's.
Yeah, but
a lot of
also we need to
research
look at, how many things we're going to during the year and what the return on investment is on that. And so, all right, I'll come in and we can sit down and talk at 10:30, at 9:30, you said?
on 9:30.
Okay. All right, well, let's do that, and then when are we gonna have our next,
Well, I mean, we can do it next Monday unless you want to meet before then.
no, I think Monday is good.
I mean, are you feeling like we're getting where we want to go? Or you
Yes.
feel like we need to do
I
some
think
Well,
more?
I
Based
think
on.
We have to, I think one of our main things was when we were cutting some of these appropriations was trying to get that 1% there for the COLA. And then do a little bit, because I mean, like I told you, I'm just sick to my stomach that we're raising our taxes $1.2 million.
Well, and I just
And
to
I
point
understand that
out,
a lot of that is the extra pay period that
It
we
is.
cannot control.
but this is on the appropriation side, just to point out, these things that if you move them to CDB, they're not affecting the taxpayers' dollars.
They're not.
And so, they seem to be near and dear to people's hearts and their
Well, they are
worthy
important.
functions. Then if
Quality of life is
CDB has
important.
that ability, I think that's a win-win for both the taxpayers
Yeah.
and for the entity.
Yeah, I mean, quality of life is important. I know some people were, bagging on the city for the golf course, but, sometimes when businesses come to look, to come here, they look for things like that. And, our Opera House and the golf course, those are good
Yeah.
quality of life things that people look at. And so,
There's
yeah.
a lot of people that go to the golf course.
Yeah, I don't know and I told somebody complaining about that, I said, I want you to go there on a Thursday night and see how many out of town, cars are out there spending money here. And those are things that are needed, but then, the big thing is if somebody wants to bring a corporation here and, one of the things they're gonna look at, do you have a golf course? And we have a very nice golf course here.
Well, and for the monies that CDB has funded Acorns for tourism, stimulation grants and sponsorships, these all fit into that same category.
Yeah. No, and Acorns is another quality of life thing, and we have given their, I think we've funded them, to where they're successful, and that is a huge quality of life thing.
More
Just
success than they expected so quickly.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and, but they're also not the only business out there, and I think that they've,
Right. And that's the thing, if CBB funds some of these other things, then people are going to see that that's being spread around as well.
Well, it should
and not
be, yeah.
just
it should be.
going to one person or one business.
Yeah, I mean, our lake is important, but our lake only brings money during the nicer.
Well, that's what I've got here. The agenda's pretty full, so if you wanna do it in the afternoon, that's fine, cause I've got appointments up until 12:45.
Well,
That'll
if
go till
somebody,
1. If you wanna take a lunch break and then come back at 2.
Come back
yeah,
at 2.
Keith's gotta eat. He'll
What
be hangry.
time is our,
Can you do that, Kathy?
CIP? Is that one 12:45,
CIP,
the work session?
12. Yeah. 12:45.
And that's the 4th, right?
Yep,
Yeah, I can do it in that.
So how long's CIP gonna take?
I'm assuming it'll take 30 minutes or less.
yeah.
So we want a break, come back at 2:30,
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'll be here all day.
or you got?
I'm just gonna put all day too, Keith, we're gonna spend the
Yeah.
day with you all day.
God forbid we spend more than 4 hours here. How many times I gotta say that?
No?
Oh, my.
scam like.
All right, and I'll come in tomorrow, and then you guys think about the fire thing and we can address that day too.
About the what?
The fire budget.
Oh, no.
And maybe Gary can, show us the,
I think, I would think it'd be kind of like that idea, if you could get past this year, I mean, yeah.
I think it makes sense, and I think it's more fiscally responsible to do it that way.
Well, and if he did it, I said if he, you know, if he got that second piece of equipment immediately in January of 27, it wouldn't be as long as if you had to wait till the end of 27, I guess.
Yeah. I think you can live long.
And then I think if he does that every year, then he's going to kind of get ahead a little bit so that he'll be able to keep funding it as he goes. And keep,
And that's if we give them 175.
I think if you leave it at 175 from the list that he had on
And
there.
that gives him an ability to build his budget, which is exactly what a CIP is. It's not, the fact that he wrote this on there, he wasn't showing how he was gonna bring the monies in. He just said, okay, here, I wanna buy this month. I wanna buy this year. I wanna buy this that year. A CIP is to be able to spread those monies out, so you're not just throwing it a whole bunch at one time, which is what we've done, and that's cost the taxpayers, whereas we can plan on.
Well, and that's kind of what we did with the ambulance and trying to set up their CIPs so that they didn't come to us and ask us to increase the budget 300,000 in 1 year for an ambulance, but instead put so much in each year so that hopefully in year 3, then we can fund that ambulance type thing. To help them and to help us. And I think they're working on their CIP too, trying to get that set up so that they will have those same options.
Well, maybe we'll be under $1 million then if we do all this. All right, are we done?
Yep, I will, I'll ask Troy to come in for pictometry discussion.
And that wasn't in those numbers then,
Mm-mm.
so that.
No.
that's-
The reduction, if we do that, yeah.
32,000.
And then, Gary for, just to discuss the fire again. And then I'll decrease the appropriations that you noted. By the 59,704, I won't change those other ones until you direct me, unless that's what you want me to do.
No, I
Well,
want you to, I
based
think
on your
we,
meeting tomorrow, I'd say give us an example of what that would.
well, no, I think we should just do the 59 right now, and then we'll see what we're gonna do with the CBB budget, and then we can do.
Well, I mean, if we can do it with the CVB budget, it'd be quicker if I can put it in and bring it to you. I mean, I
Okay.
can report to the
Oh.
other 2 commissioners and let you know if.
What we
if-
decide tomorrow, you mean?
Yeah, if-
Okay, yeah, that's
Tell
fine.
it's good, and then I'll add in those other adjustments.
I just didn't wanna make decisions on stuff without asking you guys, but I guess we can always change it if you don't like what we decide tomorrow.
As long as it's coming away,
You're good?
I'm good
Well,
with it.
I don't wanna gut the CPB budget, I mean, they still have to do their thing, but
Well, I
we
don't
need
think
to,
you're
I
gonna
think
be
we need to
getting
do.
it with what Tammy said,
Yeah,
because they have
exactly.
300 and some thousand.
Yeah,
dollars in
yeah.
budget.
But I also think we need to look at their
Well,
overtime
you're gonna
and their
have
travel,
Yeah, you're gonna have that discussion next week too about
travel.
whatever it is.
Yeah,
we're
and
gonna discuss.
I think we need, so yeah, so I want that numbers to show you guys too, as far as that, so.
Other than that, I mean, I just, beyond the CDB, I think we cut on appropriations quite a bit. I mean, as much as we probably reasonably
Are
done.
comfortable with.
Yeah,
I mean, because that's really what it comes down to is your comfort level and, working with your boards and your constituents and quality of life, as you guys have all
I mean,
pointed out.
I know the Historical Society is gonna be really upset, but I mean,
boy, yeah.
they're just, I think 100,000 is a lot to just be giving them anyway. And, I feel like, and I think they expected every year when the mill levy went up, that they would just get an increase, which is not a very efficient way to.
They don't get anything from the city, do they?
Oh, they don't?
Yeah, the city doesn't give very many appropriations out, but they also haven't had money for years and years, so.
And then I'll also adjust the COLA with the reserves. That's the other thing I have on my list. Is there anything else that I missed that you can think of? Okay. Sounds good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Are we done?
Yeah,
Are we adjourned?
I never called it to order. It's a work session.